Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So, I like to talk about different rumors. I got a rumor for you that was put out by Sports Illustrated, and I think that if you like videos about rumors, I'm the place to be, and also, I give you the best commentary on the Mets. Here's the headline. Would the Mets ever trade Red Sox star Rafael Devers? It's interesting to consider who the New York Mets would have to trade away in order to bring Rafael Devers to Queens. Boston Red Sox superstar Rafael Devers made headlines on February 17th when asserting that he would refuse a move away from third base if his franchise asked him to change positions. This came in the wake of Boston signing Gold Glove third baseman Alex Bregman. A couple of things, I know this is a Mets channel, but the Red Sox have taken a step forward a little bit. So they should be in much better shape this year than they have been in past years. Past few years they've not been very good. They finished in last place a few years, but they've taken a step forward. They made the big trade for Garrett Crochet. They signed Alex Bregman. They've been very active this offseason. So I don't know where they're going to finish, but they are much improved. I would expect that they'll probably finish at third and probably compete for a wild card spot. The American League is not very good this year. I expect the Yankees to get back to the World Series if Aaron Judge does not get injured. But I expect that the Red Sox to take a step forward this year. And to be honest with you, the Yankees need that, and baseball needs the Red Sox to be a good team. They can't be a mediocrity forever again. And that's how I look at it. Now, this thing with Devers, the fact that he's being stubborn already. Now, he did sign that massive contract, and maybe he has a right to feel a little annoyed that the Red Sox made this move for Bregman. But Bregman is not the player that Devers is. We can all agree on that one. Devers' refusal has sparked a lot of debate about him remaining fit with the Red Sox long term. Well, there's no indication that Boston intends to trade him, who signed a 10-year, $313.5 million contract extension with the team before the 2023 season. This viral moment has prompted some from the baseball community to speculate on what potential trades for Devers might look like for select MLB franchises. And in a February 20th article, Bleacher Report's Zachary D. Reimer made an intriguing potential trade proposal that would bring Devers to the New York Mets. Everybody's going to use the Mets. The Mets are like a prop now. They were always kind of a prop in the past, but now because the Mets spend so much money, every team, every writer uses the Mets as a place where they'll get the best player that's on another team. A trade proposal: New York Mets get third baseman Rafael Devers. Boston Red Sox get outfielder Starlin Marte, right-handed pitcher Brandon Sprout, outfielder Drew Gilbert. All right. I'm just reading this for the first time, so I'm not gonna give you my opinion. I got to think about this, but you let me know what you think about that in the comments section. When saying why this trade proposal would work for the Mets, Reimer wrote, "It would be an imperfect fit as Devers taking over at third would force Mark Vientos, Pete Alonso, and Jesse Winker to share first base and the DH spot. Winker is not going to be playing first. Okay, that I can assure you on that one. Jesse Winker is going to be playing a lot more outfield than you probably think, because the fact is the Mets are probably going to play, use Brandon Nimmo at the designated hitter spot, and Winker's going to be playing left field a lot more than people think, at least for next year. And I quote, and yet one of those guys, i.e. Winker, should be a bench jockey anyway. There's also the reality that even with a $331 million payroll, the Mets project as a second fiddle in NL. This bullshit. Second fiddle. NL contender to the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Braves, and Phillies. Reimer, what reasoning do you call them a second fiddle? They beat the Braves in the biggest game and the biggest win the Mets ever had in the history of Atlanta versus the Mets. Back, the first game in that doubleheader. I can't emphasize, I haven't really talked much, how big that win was in terms of just the terms of the franchises. That was a franchise-altering win between the two teams. And the Mets, by the way, beat the Phillies in a big spot when they were underdogs against the big bad Phillies. The Phillies did not do major changes this offseason, and neither did the Braves for that matter. The biggest move the Braves are going to be making is getting Ronald Acuna Jr. back on the field. Okay? So the Dodgers are one thing, but the Mets are not a second fiddle to the Braves or the Phillies, in your host's opinion. The Phillies have a good pitching staff. The Mets beat that pitching staff. The Braves lost some pitchers and are not nearly as good as they were a year ago. Obviously, Acuna coming back will help them a lot, obviously. But the turning of the tide there, specifically with the Mets playing in Atlanta, has turned. Because now the Mets have shown that they can beat the Braves in Atlanta. That's not something I've talked much about. I think anyone's talked much about it. But that's a very important key now. The Mets did something that no Met team has ever done. Win a big game in Atlanta when they needed to win. And so the Mets are not second fiddle to these guys. A lot of people, and I'm not going to put predictions out there. I've done that in the past. Last year I didn't do it, and the Mets got the postseason. I'm not doing that this year. I'll give you an idea who will be in the World Series. And, but, I expect the Mets to be contending. Quote, adding Devers would upend that equation with the added bonus of setting the Mets up nicely for beyond 2025. He, Vientos, Juan Soto, and Francisco Lindor would be aboard for the long haul. Now, here's the thing about Devers. They really want to put him at first. I mean, the belief is that he's not a third baseman. That defensively, he's a real struggle. The real negative defensive metrics on him. And there's a major problem there that he might not be a first baseman long term. I mean, a third baseman long term. It might be a DH more than these other guys have. And he doesn't move well. He doesn't run fast. He doesn't, he's a very good hitter. He's got a very good shot to have at least 2,000 hits in his career if he stays healthy. But the idea, I'm so irritated now. Second fiddle my ass. From Boston's point of view, Reimer thinks it makes sense because the Red Sox would get some immediate savings in this deal as they'd swap out Devers' $29.5 million salary for Marte's $20.8 million salary. Mind you, Marte would also be useful to Boston in 2025. He could platoon with Wilyer Abreu in right and Yoshida at DH, and he'll do a darn good job of it if he were to carry over his 844 OPS versus lefties from last year. Arguably, the real draws here are Williams and especially Sprout. The latter is a 24-year-old with 3+ pitches, and he doesn't need much more season in the minor leagues. To reiterate, Boston trading Devers is not imminent, nor something that seems likely anytime soon, but if he does become available, this seems like a trade the Mets would be wise to consider. I would not do this trade. How many more big contracts are you going to give players? Especially players that aren't athletic. Francisco Lindor has a long-term deal, but he's a very athletic guy. He's a great defensive shortstop. He's got speed. He's got power. He can hit. Juan Soto is not so athletic, but he's a top-notch hitter, a generational hitter. Devers is a very good hitter. He's borderline generational, but the problem is that he's not very athletic. And how many unathletic guys are you going to have? They mentioned that Soto, and Vientos, is not an athletic guy either. He has a chance to be a very good hitter and a very good player. But the thing is he's not athletic. You have to have athletes today that are able to do more than one thing on the field. They can't just be all hit and nothing else. That's always been an obvious thing. But baseball is, and Dave Stearns is very, very big on bringing in very athletic players. Jose Siri, very athletic. Tyrone Taylor, very athletic. Luis Angel Acuna, very athletic. Jeff McNeil, even though he's older, very athletic. You can't have all these guys that are unathletic because what's going to happen is they're going to get old very fast. And you don't want them getting old altogether very quickly and fast. Don't want that. But that's my slight opinion. Let me know what you think about that. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. And I'll see you later.